Hi everybody, my name is Alisha, and today I'm joined again in the studio by...
Michael, hello.
Hi Michael, thanks for joining us again today. Today we're going to be looking at a few tips for learning another language. So each of us have prepared a few things that we think are really useful when learning another language. Both of us have studied another language to some degree. So we're going to talk about things that were useful for us and which might be useful for you as you practice your English skills. So let's begin. Do you want to start?
Sure.
Go for it.
I would say absorb media. This is something that actually, when I meet someone and they sound like a native English speaker, and I go, where are you from? Are you from Australia, America? And they're, no, I'm from blah, blah, blah. What? You mean you're not a native English speaker? And every single time they tell me, I said, how did you learn? Please, I'm an English teacher. I want to know. I want to help people, blah, blah, blah. And every single time they tell me, oh, I just love blah, blah, blah culture. So usually I love American culture. I love Justin Bieber and Lady Gaga, blah, 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 blah. And so all day, every day, they're reading, they're watching movies, they're sitting on YouTube and just absorbing it. And it doesn't feel like you're studying, but you are. And so then you're more likely to study. So it's like a fun way to study. It's helped me. I've changed everything on my iPod. So even when I'm lazy, I have no choice but to listen to the language I'm learning.
Yeah, I think that's a really good tip. I had the same thing, essentially. Mine was just phrased slightly different. I said, find something that interests you in your target language. So if English is your target language, whatever it might be, if it's music, if it's movies, if it's comic books, I don't know, if you're interested in dating someone who speaks your target language, whatever it is, find something to motivate you, something that's going to make you want to study and make you want to learn that language so that you have that that drive to do it. I totally agree with you. Yeah, I think it's a great tip. Okay, cool. So we had one thing that was the same. I guess I'll share another one of mine if that's okay. My next one is one that I try to do myself, but I know that I mess up every once in a while. Practice every day, even if it's just a few minutes, whether you can spare an hour or 2 hours, or just I myself study while I'm commuting to work on the subway. Just find something that you can do every single day so that you don't lose your place in your studies. Just whether it's vocabulary or picking a new grammar point to be looking at, or just, finding a new phrase on TV that you thought was interesting. Just being an active learner every single day really, really contributes, I think, to your abilities to speak and to understand another language. It's just practice every single day something.
I think this is a really useful piece of advice for anything. I think a lot of people, you get overwhelmed and, you think, man, I want to be here, whether it's exercising or playing the piano or whatever, and you just want to finish, a year's worth of time in one day. And so you study really hard, you procrastinate, and then one day you cram as much as you can, you get burnt out, and then you don't do it for weeks, months. And that's not the way humans work. We're creatures of habit. Any of the best, the greatest, whether they speak a language like you as wonderfully as you do or whatever, or play piano or whatever, every single time you ask them, and it's brick by brick by brick. So I agree 100%, and I also don't follow this advice all the time. It's tough. I think the key is to not give up. So for me, honestly, my languages I'm not as confident, but as far as exercise, you'll get lazy and you'll pig out and you go down. But you can't just give up and just let it go down.
Right.
Just remember the big picture, that you are making progress, even if there's some decline. So if you get busy with work, whatever, get back on it, keep practicing English. Get back on EnglishClass101.com.
What is your next tip?
So my next tip is also related to practice every day. Is practice fearlessly. So this means, it's easy to learn some basic phrases in English. Hello, I'm fine, thank you, and you. And you sound like a robot and you feel comfortable in your little comfort zone, but you don't expand. You got to be willing to make mistakes. And I think it's the same as with dancing. If you're afraid, you look stupid. If you're reserved and you're off onto the side of the club and you're just kind of moving like one shoulder in your little comfort bubble, it looks really stupid. It looks way more stupid than if you were actually going all out and just having fun with it.
Yeah.
I think it's the same thing with language. Don't just stick to your little comfort of, hello, I'm fine, thank you, and you, and sound like a robot. You got to have some fun with it. Try to use those big words that maybe you mess up. That's okay. That's how you learn, just like a kid. So let's see your other one.
My last tip then, is kind of general, I guess. I've just chosen immersion. This doesn't necessarily mean that you have to go to the country, where they speak the language that you're studying, but just find a way to even if it's just for a short period of time every day or once a week or whatever it is, if there's some way that you can immerse yourself in the language that you're studying for a period of time and only study, Spanish or only study English in your case for a period of time every day or every week, every month, whatever it is, on a regular basis, so you get used to just hearing that and just experiencing that, I think is really, really helpful, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's... No, that's not the other one. I thought I wrote it down. Yeah, I agree. One of the things that most people don't realize is that now it's the 21st century, everyone's connected. So a lot of people just assume that if you move to the country, you're going to pick up the language because immersion is one of the best, most, time and time again proved ways to learn a language. But that's not always the case. Like I have a lot of friends in different countries who don't learn it at all. They're married to a local, but it's easy to just sit on Facebook and talk to your old friends and never actually, practice and put it out there. So if you can't make it out to another country, don't worry about it. Because even if you do, sometimes, it's that mindset. It's actually doing it.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Good. Okay, what's your last tip?
My last tip is take grammar with a grain of salt. So, of course, grammar is essential for learning a language. Absolutely. There's no doubt about it. You should definitely focus on that. But what I've found is that when you're learning from a non-native English speaker, they feel safe teaching grammar because there's set rules they can teach, even if their pronunciation isn't correct or any of that. And, you can just get into that rut. But the reality of most languages is we break those rules all the time. So don't worry too much. If your grammar is a little off or you're having trouble learning it, just kind of go with it and just try to repeat what you hear.
Yeah.
I don't know about you though. What do you think?
I think that's an interesting point though, because I think that, like you say, I think grammar is a really safe place for a lot of people because, like you say, there are rules. It's clear that I can see that, if I put a noun and a verb like this, then I'm going to make a sentence that says this, and I understand that. It's really easy to understand. But I think that something that a lot of learners, and myself, I'm guilty of this too, is that there's a limit to how much grammar that you can learn. Like once you learn the grammar, you've learned the grammar. It's possible, I think, to master the grammar of any language, but it's the vocabulary that continues to change. Every year there are new words in every single language that get developed. People are making up new words every day, especially in English. So experiment. Once you find that you've learned the grammar, move on. Keep exploring new vocabulary. Find new and interesting things to do with the tools that you've given yourself. So don't be afraid to experiment with your vocabulary too. If you find something that you might like to try to make a verb out of, like Google, for example, give it a try. See if it works. If the other people around you are confused, maybe it didn't work. If the other people around you laugh or continue with the conversation, hey, maybe you just made a new word. You never know. So give it a try. Thanks very much for joining us for our English tips on this lesson. We will see you again next time. Bye.